Well, hello again folks, we've got another incredible ride here. This is around Loch Ard, which is a fabulous place not far from Loch Lomond in Scotland. So we're north of Glasgow now, but before we do any of that, please go across to our YouTube channel and check out, we have got literally dozens of rides, and they're all, for the more recent ones anyway, colour coded. So blue is the southeast, we've got red for sort of Yorkshire and the northeast, we've got sort of purple which covers our trips to Wales that we've got there, in Snowdonia. We've got green for the southwest of Britain, and then we've got multicoloured ones for a series of rides we did for cancer research. So please subscribe to the channel and like all of the videos, have a look through the videos, get to look through them and get to see the sorts of places that we go, and I really hope these give you ideas for rides of your own. That's its purpose, so that you know whether you can do a ride by yourself. Anyway, where is this ride here? This is Loch Ard. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all our videos and hit the bell icon for notification. We're in Glasgow, just north of Glasgow, and this is Loch Ard, and you can see on the left there's Loch Lomond, and above that you can see Ben Lomond. That is a fantastic walk. Everybody should walk Ben Lomond. But this is the ride we're doing. We're just starting in that little car park just outside Loch Ard, and then we're going round the forestry land and the mining and other things that we've got in there. There's almost no domestic apart from the little ride down there. So here we are, starting in the car park, working our way round. We'll go along the edge of the loch. We just sort of cut round the edge of the loch. Now that was a little trip that we did down to the loch itself. This is a place that was hard to cross because those gates were locked, so we had to carry our tandem over the top. And then we work our way through forestry, cleared forestry, heathland, open land, old industrial land, really across the middle of nowhere. Great ride, nearly all gravel. Well, a big chunk of it is gravel in the middle of it, so you definitely need a gravel bike. And you can see right there. So this is where we start. So it's off the Loch Ard road, which runs to the north of Loch Ard, and then there's this little track that we can see that cuts through a small little hamlet and then has a car park just in the middle of nowhere. The car park was really empty when we first arrived there, which was early in the morning, but it was a hot day, and by the time we came back it was over full. So we leave and we go around the edge of the little picnic field that they've got there, and then we did have to push our bike through a little bit of woodland here, and you can see the state of the road, the track here, it's covered in roots. But then we go through this caravan site. Now that is really useful for later on because you're going to be desperately short of water, so this is a great place to top up. But we now head out, cross the bridge, and then we hit cycle route 7, I think it is. I'll confirm that, which is the one that passes through us earlier on, goes through Glasgow, and we're now just heading along this cycle route. Look at the quality of this road surface. Nearly all the Scottish cycle routes are of this standard and this quality. Quite amazing they are. And so we follow this along, not too many people on there, and work our way into the town very briefly. This is where we cut down towards the loch. But you can see this road isn't very busy. It's got traffic calming on it. So we head down past a couple of really big houses, and you've got the hills towering up on your right, and again this road surface is really, really nice. Just the odd pothole here and there. And we're now heading off, and we're dropping down towards the water, so we're going down the backs of the houses here, and you just have to take a chance on the route. But here you can see we're on a bit of gravel, and it's really this sort of type of surface as we work our way around. And we just stopped on the edge of the loch here and took a few photos and hung around a bit, and I think I'll edit that bit out. But then we get back on our bike and move on and move forward, and again a few of these gates that we get round, but now we just track around the edge of the loch. It's really pretty, very beautiful, very calm, very tranquil, and you can see the surface is not bad. It's a great little gravel ride for those of you that like a bit of off-road. There are a few hills and rises on here, but it's not that bad. So we're working our way around the edge, and what we're actually doing is gradually climbing up to the top of the hill that's above the loch. So what's a bit of a shame is that we thought we could go down there and have a bit of a picnic at some point, but actually as we followed this road, there were very few places, and then when we did find them, because of the fact that in Scotland that you can camp almost anywhere, the really good places always had a little tent in there hanging around, but we didn't mind too much. So we carry on down this gravel road, and visibility is reduced at the moment, but then you suddenly come out in some really nice places. So it opens up and suddenly the view is there, and here you can see we're descending and then ascending, and that's much of the way the route goes, but very fast in places and fabulous open roads. Not really much restriction. We overshot there, so we went back on ourselves, and what we're doing here is we're heading down. We wanted to get down to the water a little bit, so we take a few side roads and we worked our way down this track here, which wasn't a proper track for us to go on, but we just felt that it would be a nice place to go and have a look at the water a bit more closely. So we can now see that we're adjacent to the water. You can see occasionally popping up and cropping up on our right hand side. There must be plenty of places to park around here because there's lots of people running. So the road surface is a bit rougher at this point as we ascend up through the broadleaf woodland and then back down towards a bit more conifer again. Lots of these gates that we have to get round, but none of them are insurmountable. A little bit harder on a tandem, but now we're going to just drop down towards the water again. So we go past a couple of cottages, and there's actually a small village at the end of the bit that we're descending on now. But we drop down and down, and you can see that the water is now really opening up on our right. So just up here we decided that we wanted to have a better look, and we couldn't get there, so we crossed, stopped, had a cup of tea, had a good look around, and then got back on the bike. Wanted to see if there was anything further down, so we went down the hill a little bit further, and there was nothing there, so we turned round and came back up. There were too many people at the bottom, but none of them want to go as far as we did into the forest. Not quite sure what that car was doing there. There were almost no cars anywhere on the whole estate. So back up to this cottage. I think it was a holiday cottage and someone had driven down to the water actually. So again, continuously over the gravel, and we follow this track through, and you can see there are other cyclists on their gravel bikes looking much more professional and skilled and enjoying themselves more than us. But we work our way round all the same. We're not out for doing the distances they do. We came across this, it's an aqueduct, it's carrying water across, and I can't be sure, but it looked as if it was carrying water to drive machinery further down, probably for sawmills and things. So we're following our way along up over the ridge here, and it was a really, really hot day, but actually the traces of the industrial history and the industrial past of this area just made it more interesting. And you turn up little bits of machinery or very strange things that you've got, and you could see that actually, although the surface is rough and it's got a few stones in it, it's not insurmountable and not bad. So we follow down this bit. Now this is where we did get caught out, because we headed down this little bit of track here, really steep, switchbacky. It was great fun, really was, descending at quite a track, and then suddenly there are two gates across, and they were locked. There's nobody around, so we had to dismantle the tandem, take the seat off and the handlebars to make it light enough for us to lift over the top, and we won't go through the gap and then over the second one. Then we work our way up towards the road here, and then we follow it along. We didn't turn right. So that was the worst bit really of typical of our rides, really, where we just get stuck and find that the road is actually blocked off. I blame Komoot for all of these things, because we just trust what Komoot says, and that's probably not a very wise thing to do. But at some point, when you're doing an unknown ride, you just have to trust that the right information is in there. So We go screaming down these gravel tracks, and there's a bit more forestry in this section that we're now heading towards. So we're working our way south. And we're now beginning to go downhill, and there's beautiful streams and rivers down at the bottom. Now there's not much to commentate on at this stage, so I'll just let you have a little look. But what I want you to do is to just pay attention to the width of the road and the quality of the surface that we've got, and the fact that you've got both really nice riding and these incredible views you can see opening up on the left. And actually, if you're interested in wildflowers and trees and things like that, then it's literally got everything you could possibly want, all stacked up, ready for you to have here. Yeah, more cyclists, and you can see that actually we've hardly met any traffic or any other road users, and this is wonderful gravel riding. We stopped here, took a few photos. Really nice views of the mountains ahead. Sadly, you know, the clearing makes it look a little bit tattier, but it is a working forest. So we now work our way down. And by now we were getting a little bit peckish. We wanted to stop for lunch, so we thought we'd look for somewhere pretty to stop, and we kept our eye open for a small stream or a brook that was running along. So we headed our way down, looking out for rivers that were crossing or streams that were passing. It was so hot that day, but we were having a day off. Our son had, as I said in the previous video, he'd fallen off his bike and broken his neck, and so we were visiting in hospital, and we were given a day off by my sister and sat down by the stream. It's good to think, good to rest under those situations. And just to let you know, he's much better now. The people in the hospital were fantastic. So we're now heading our way back up. The gravel here is a little bit rougher, as you can see, but we're getting towards the old area, and you can see there's now grass growing in the middle of the track, and we're working our way back down to the industrial bit. You can see here that aqueduct is working its way through. Never did really stop and have a proper look at it, but as we head our way through this more neglected older part, the road surface is falling apart, and then suddenly it begins to be metalled or has been tarmacked over at some point in the past, and gradually we get closer and closer to reality and normal civilized life. That cyclist who passed us shot on ahead. She was on a solo bike and going faster than us. What are we doing? 15, 16, 17 miles an hour. So not that much. But we work our way along this bit, and this is heading our way back towards one of the larger roads. But nothing there. We pass her again, and this road is so straight. It's outrageously straight and fast. You can see it just disappearing off ahead, and it was downhill, so you really crack along. We just didn't really take it much above, so you can see there 25, 26 miles an hour, and then occasionally it rises back up again, but not too fast, but huge fun. So we're not far off being back home now, but there are plenty of other routes that you could take on the site that we've just been on. So it's completely crisscrossed with gravel routes and others. So once you're in amongst the forestry, there's just loads and loads of places you can go. So we're just coming back. We just catch the edge of this small town that we've got. This is a relatively steep hill actually, but we work our way back up towards the top, and that's about it for hills now. I think there was a hard left there, and then there's another hard right step here, and then another hard left again, I think, up here. So work our way back around. This is a very quiet road, and it just leads into where that campsite was, and we've now completed a complete circle now, and at this point we filled up with water, and we then moved on back to our site. So if you remember, there was just this small patch of woodland, helping a little girl that fell off her bike there, and then I think we decided that it would be better off just pushing it. It's just a bit too much. You could do it with a solo mountain bike, but it was a bit grim. Now look how many people there were on that campsite, that picnic site. So here we are. This is the summary of our ride. I've probably changed its name by now, but you can see over on the right hand side, export to GPS device if you want to do that into your sat nav. But please like and subscribe, and add a comment if you can. We love it when you leave comments behind. And we look forward to seeing you in the next ride. We're now going to be heading down towards Sussex and Kent for some routes along the south coast, really. Bye for now. Bye.